Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Espiochoa present.
Alda Benavides present. Mary Hernandez present.
Dr. Science, I do declare quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So we move on to any public comments.
We have no public comments.
So then moving on to the next item, which would be the public hearing to discuss the Hoya LJISD School District State Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Mr. Joel Trevino, our Chief Financial Officer, will lead us in the discussion on the first report. Thank you, Mr. Trevino.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Science, and for the public, thank you for being here with us today. Today we'll be discussing the La Jolla ISD's Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas, also referred as FIRST, report for the 2020-21 school year. This data is based on for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. Okay? And does everybody have the booklet? Yes. Okay. First of all, what are the objectives and the goals of FIRST? The goals is to facilitate effective and efficient use of resources, strengthen the fiscal accountability, and the objectives is to provide an analysis tool for school officials, increase the proportion of resources used in direct instructional activities, increase efficient use of resources in school support activities, identify and recognize outstanding performance, and increase financial well-being of public schools. We go on to page 3. How are the ratings assessed for the 2020-21 school year? If the district answered no to indicators 1, 2, 3, or 4, the school district would automatically be at an F, which is substandard achievement regardless of the points that are earned. Also, the points are earned based on, for a superior achievement, which is an A, the district would have to get between 90 to 100 points. A B is above standard, 80 to 89 points. A C meets standards, 70 to 79. And F, of course, substandard achievement, any points less than 70. In addition, there are some ceiling indicators. And did the school district meet the criteria for any of the following ceiling indicators for 16, 16, 17, 20? If so, the school district's applicable maximum points and rating are disclosed below. I mean, if you didn't meet the 4, 95, and down the line. Now, I would like to inform you and let you know that La Jolla ISD earned an A for superior achievement for the 2020-21 school year, and this is based on fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. Okay. Congratulations to La Jolla ISD and all of the staff. Okay. Now, as part of the requirement, we are to go through each one of the indicators and do a comparison from one year to the next. So indicator 1 was a complete annual financial report, also referred as the AFR, and data submitted to TA within 30 days of the November 27 or January 28th deadline, depending on the school district's fiscal year-end date of June 30th or August 31st, respectively. For 2019-2020, we met that deadline, as well as for 2021. So La Jolla is the results. We got a yes on both. So the due date was February 28th, and TEA received the audit on January 27th. Okay. Indicator number 2, was there an unmodified opinion in the AFR on the financial statements as a whole? For both 1920 and 2021, we answered yes. La Jolla ISD received an unmodified opinion. And as you're aware, at the last board meeting, our external auditor, Noel Garza, presented that information to us. For 1920, it is highlighted in rows. Indicator 2 was divided into 2 sections. The second section was that the external independent auditor report, the AFR, was free of any instance of material weakness of internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, and federal funds. Now this indicator, this part of indicator 2, what used to be 2, became indicator number 17. And for 1920, it was a yes, as well as for the 2021, it's also a yes. The external auditor reported no material weaknesses in the annual report. Indicator number 3 was the school districts in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end. Yes, there were no disclosures in the AFR and or other source of information concerning default on debt arrangements. La Jolla LJISD met all its debt obligations. Indicator number 4, did the school district make timely payments to the TRS system, Texas Workforce Commission, Internal Revenue Service, and other governmental agencies? Yes, La Jolla LJISD made all payments to all governmental entities. Okay. Was a total unrestricted net position balance, net of the accretion of interest for capital appreciation bonds in the governmental activities column in the statement of net assets greater than 0. This indicator was not scored for this year as well as last year, and that was due because of the pandemic. So that indicator was not scored. Indicator number 6, it's a new indicator that came about this year, and was the average change in assigned and unassigned fund balance over 3 years less than a 25% decrease, or did the current year's assigned and unassigned fund balance exceeded 75 days of operational expenditures? Of course, for 1920, it was not applicable, and for 2021, it's a yes. We passed both tests on this one. Indicator number 7 was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures, excluding facilities acquisition and construction. For both years, 1920 and 2021, we got the maximum points of 10, and La Jolla LJISD had for the 2020-21 days of cash on hand of $107. I'm sorry. Indicator number 8 was a measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt. Both for 1920 and 21, we received an 8. We're 2 points short from the maximum. And yes, La Jolla LJISD ratio is 2.657, so we fall under the range of 8 points. Did the school district general fund, indicator number 9, did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures? If not, was the school district's number of days of cash on hand greater than or equal to 60 days? For both years, 1920 and 21, we received the maximum points of 10, and we met this result based on the second part of the question, where we have 107 days of $107 in cash on hand. Indicator number 10, did the school district average less than a 10% variance when comparing budget revenues to actual revenues for the last 3 fiscal years? Of course, for 2019-20 was not applicable, and for 2021 we received 10. Yes, La Jolla LJISD had a variance of a minus 4.2%. We did receive the maximum points on that. Indicator number 10 used to be, was the debt service cover ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? Okay, we got 4 points a year before, and for this year it's not applicable. Move on to indicator number 11. Was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency? If the school district's increase of students in membership over 5 years was 7% or more, then the school district automatically passes this indicator. We did get the maximum points of 10. Our La Jolla LJISD ratio was at 0.482 with long-term liabilities of $264 million compared to a total assets of $548 million. Indicator number 12, it's a new indicator for this year. Was a debt per 100 of assessed property value ratio sufficient to support future debt repayments? It's a new indicator, of course not applicable for 1920, and for 2021 we received 10 points, which is the maximum points. La Jolla LJISD ratio was at 3.15, and it's less than 4, so we did get the maximum 10 points. Indicator number 13, was the school district administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio? For both years 1920 and 21, we received the maximum points of 10. Since we fall in the average daily attendance of 10,000 ADA or greater, Our ratio is 0.08, which qualifies us to get the 10 maximum points worth. Indicator number 14, did the school district not have a 15% decline in the student ratio to staff ratio over 3 years? Both years, 1920 and 21, we received 10 points, which is the maximum. Yes, La Hoya SD had a decline of 3.51% versus the first 15% requirement. If we move on to indicator number 15, was the school district, which is a new indicator, was the school district ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projection submitted to TEA? If the district did not submit pupil projections to TEA, did we certify TEA's projection? It's a new indicator, not applicable for 1920, and for 2021 we got the 5 points. So yes, we fell within the threshold of meeting that indicator. Indicator 15 used to be, it's highlighted in pink, is that the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than 1 fiscal year for an over allocation of foundation school program funds as a result of a financial hardship. Of course, for 1920, we received the 10 points, and for this year it's not applicable. So, indicator number 16, did the comparison of the Public Education Information Management System PIMS data to like information in the school district's AFR result in a total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? For 1920, the answer, we got the 10 points. For this one, it's just a yes or no answer, and yes, we met that one, that indicator, and we had a variance of 0.0001%. So we passed the ceiling here. Indicator number 17, did the external independent auditor report that the AFR was free of any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, and federal funds? Like I mentioned before, this used to be indicator 2B, and yes, for 1920 and 21, we passed this one with a yes. The external auditor did not report any material weaknesses. Indicator number 18, did the external independent auditor indicate the AFR was free of any instances of material non-compliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, and federal funds? For both years, 1920 and 21, we received a maximum points of 10. Yes, La Hoya SD was free of material non-compliance. 2 more indicators which are new for 2021. We have indicator number 19, that the school district posts the required financial information on its website in accordance with government code, local government code, Texas Education Code, Texas Administrative Code, and other statutes, laws, and rules that were in effect during the fiscal year. Of course, for 1920 was not applicable, and for 2021, we received the maximum points of 5. We met all the requirements. And our last indicator is number 20, that the school board members discuss the district's property values at a board meeting within 120 days before the district budget is adopted. This is a new indicator. Of course, it was not applicable for 1920, but for 2021 it was, so we met yes, so we did meet this requirement. This giving us a total score for 1920 of 92, and for 2021 a score of a 98. Of course, for both years we did receive the superior achievement. There are some additional requirements that need to be disclosed. For the first disclosure, number 1 is the superintendent's contract, and the superintendent's contract is attached to the first report, so it's available. Okay. Disclosure number 2 is reimbursements received by superintendent and board members during the 1920 school year, and I'm required to read them out. Dr. Gisela Sainz had a total reimbursements of $3,724. Oscar Coach Salinas, not 0. Dr. Nereida Cantu, 2,191. Esperanza S.P. Ochoa, 785. Mary T. Hernandez, 685. Claudia Ochoa, 4,072. Alejandro Alex Cantu, 0. Armin Garza, 2,992, for a grand total of 14,453 in reimbursements for which cover meals, lodging, transportation, etc. Okay. Disclosure number 3 is compensation or fees received by the superintendent from another school district or outside entity in exchange for professional consulting and or other personal services. So $2,700 annually for serving in the capacity of the Texas Rural Communities Board member. This was disclosed by our superintendent, Teresa Lasai. Disclosure number 4, gifts received by the superintendent and board members that have an economic value of $250 or more for fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. There were no amounts reported. Disclosure number 5, business transactions between school district and board members. For fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020, there were no reported business transactions between school district and board members. That is a presentation of my report. This time I'd like to thank every department within La Jolla ISD. It's not just the finance office that prepares and achieves this rating. It's a joint effort among all the different departments within the district. Any questions?
Anybody guys, any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dariana.
Thank you.
With that being said, it's 5:53. Meeting adjourned. We'll wait for 6 minutes to start the regular call meeting. It's 6:04, and I'm calling this meeting to order.
Escucho present.
Nereida Cantu present.
Alda Benavides present.
Alex Cantu present.
Mary Hernandez present.
And with that, Dr. Science, I do declare upon.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Any public comments?
Yes, we do have public comments. The first public comment is from Mr. Israel Gonzalez.
Jerry, can you take the time? Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Gonzalez. You've been here before, so the 3 minutes, our attorney, Mr. Munoz, will let you know when you have 1 minute so you can have your closure. You may begin whenever you're ready, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm here today to talk about what I've been here to talk about, mask mandates. One of the things that's currently being spoken about by experts is that it is endemic. So I am here to ask you, what is the plan? If it is here to stay, we need a plan. We're just playing it by kicking the can down the road. I think it's time to address this once and for all. What is it we're gonna do if this is here to stay? One of the things that I felt was interesting, I was reviewing, I'm sorry I don't have the information with me, but off the top of my head I was reviewing the minutes, I believe it was from November. And one of the things that I found in there was purchases for a playground, and it was an eye-popping sum. And the reason that I bring that up is because I thought we were social distancing, at least that's what La Jolla says. And you know, the reason that I'm pointing this out is obviously that's not what's happening. We ask our kids what happens in school. We know what happens in school. We know the social distancing. We know that all this stuff, we know it's political. We're just asking for some common sense here. We just needed to go back to the focus, which needs to be our children. They're the, of course, our most valuable asset. We need to focus on that. Speaking of those funds, since we're speaking of funds, one of the things I wanted to know is how much are we spending on this mask mandate lawsuit? La Jolla, for some reason, does not want to tell me, and the answer to my question is we have no responsive information for this item. So you mean to tell me you don't know how much you're paying your attorneys? We know that that's not true. You just don't want to disclose it because it's not favorable. It's political. Instead, I suggest that we actually use this funding and redirect it towards something like a board-certified behavior analyst. Smaller districts have one. La Jolla ISD does not. This would be an individual that would advocate for children, special needs children. Now, I am a father of a special needs child. My boy, is an autistic boy. He's on the spectrum. I submit to you that La Jolla ISD is in violation of providing my son a free, public, and appropriate education. Emphasis on the appropriate. By placing a mask mandate, now I believe that we should offer everybody the freedom to choose whether they want to wear a mask or not. Now, by placing this mandate, La Jolla directly infringes upon my child's right to learn because as an autistic child that struggles to speak, he makes a very, very concerted effort to pay attention to what is happening with the movement here. It's part of linguistics. He wants to know where you're placing your tongue, how you're moving your mouth, and he makes a very, very sincere effort, and he tries, he squints, grabs different angles when he squints. You are doing them a disservice by mandating that they have to wear these masks. I'm not saying force them not to, I'm saying give them the option so that this possibility can exist for my child. Thank you so much for your time. You all have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, sir.
The second public comment is from Ms. Stella Esquivel.
Mrs. Esquivel, good evening. You're going to have 3 minutes. Our attorney, Mr. Munoz, will be taking time. Whenever it's close to the 3 minutes, like a minute, he'll let you know so that you can make your closure. At no time will the board be able to answer any of your questions. You may begin whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, school board members, Dr. Science, and members of the community. I'm Estela Esquivel, a proud Chapa elementary teacher and member at large of La Jolla AFT Executive Board. On behalf of our La Jolla AFT Union family, we want to thank La Jolla ISD decision makers who have supported all of our concerns from substitutes and teacher shortage, wages, stipends, school safety, and school employees being burned out during these trying times. Our members are doing more than ever before. Their plates are overflowing. We need to assure them that they can do so much and excel when you have compassionate leaders who understand that the COVID challenging school years have changed our education system and everyone's lives. So let's bring cheer with a Christmas bonus that every La Jolla ISD employee deserves. The La Jolla AFT Executive Board and our staff wishes everyone a safe and happy holidays. Mr. President, Dr. Science, and the members of the board, thank you for your time, service, and consideration. That concludes that.
Thank you, Mrs. Esquivel.
Thank you.
Our next public comment is from Mr. Hiram Gutierrez.
Mr. Gutierrez, good evening. You have 3 minutes. Our attorney, Mr. Munoz, will take the time whenever there's a minute remaining on the 3 minutes. He'll let you know so you can start making closure. At no time will the board be able to respond to any of your questions. You may begin when you're ready. Thank you.
Mr. President, could I have 5 minutes of your time instead?
I'll give you 4.
4? Thank you. That'll work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Science, President Salinas, and honorable members of the board. My comments this evening are regarding item section 10B12 of your agenda. For the record, my name is Hiram Gutierrez, and I am a partner with Purdue Brandon Fielder Collins and Mott, your current delinquent tax firm. Purdue Brandon was founded in 1970, and for 51 years, it has been representing governmental entities such as yourself in government receivables. Although we had represented La Jolla ISD in the past years, we most recently began representing La Jolla ISD on January of 2017. Once awarded the contract for delinquent tax collections, we quickly and earnestly began working on the La Jolla delinquent tax collections. Employing all our resources, our firm, while treating every taxpayer as if they were family. In fact, if we see that a taxpayer may be entitled to some exemption or deferral, we do not hesitate to inform them of what is available to them and what steps to take. Our hard work here quickly resulted in an improvement in collection rates as compared to the prior year under our competitor. In fact, even the last year during the COVID lockdown, when many of our collections tools such as lawsuits, tax sales, and tax warrants were severely restrained, our collections for La Jolla ISD were almost on par with our competitors' last full year at La Jolla ISD. I have passed out a handout with 3 graphs. The first graph is La Jolla ISD's collections for the last 6 years. On the far left was the last year our competitor collected for La Jolla ISD. As you can see, that year collections ended at 26.40. The following year, It was a combined year. They were part of the year, and we were there part of the year. Collections jumped up to 28.99, followed by 29.73, 30.24, and during COVID, we managed to hit over 25.80%. And this last year, you had a different year this year because you changed your fiscal year. So collections were 10 months. During the 10 months, it was 28.88, but if you had gone to the old way of figuring out your collection was 31.78. In fact, La Jolla ISD has had some of the best delinquent collections ever under Purdue Brandon. We ask you to take all these factors when making your determination on selecting a delinquent tax firm. La Jolla ISD needs continuity in its delinquent tax collection program, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. With that being said, moving on to the next item, approval of the tax collector for October 21.
So move.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the next one for the special call meeting on November the 17th.
So move.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next be superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. The first item on the superintendent's report is the enrollment report for November 19th, 2021. On this day, we had 10,914 elementary students, 13,557 secondary students, for a total of 24,471 students, which is 2,195 less than at this time last year. I do also want to report that as of this Tuesday, which was December 7th, we had 24,632 students, which is 161 more students than this report that is in your binder. So I would like to thank our principals and our teachers for continuing to work to enroll as many kids as they can. The next item is recognition of Dariana Garza, a 12th grade student from Thelma R. Salinas STEM Early College High School, as the winner of the La Jolla ISD 2021 Holiday Greeting Card Art Contest. We have Ms. Blanca Cantu, our Public Relations and Communications Coordinator, to give this award.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Science, and community. Today, I am pleased to present our 2021 Holiday Greeting Card winner. Year after year, La Jolla ISD seeks artwork from our students to select a winner and feature our La Jolla ISD talent in our holiday greeting card. Congratulations to Dariana Garza, 12th grade student from Thelma R. Salinas STEM Early College High School. Thank you to her teachers, Mr. Esli Galvan and Mr. Raul Garcia, and thank you to her principal, Mr. Victor Rodriguez, for the amazing support. Congratulations, Dariana, and there is a photo of Dariana with a holiday greeting card. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. It's not showing up here, but it is, I don't know if y'all have. So this is Dariana Garza from that's Thelma R. Salinas STEM Early College High School, and that is her greeting card. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cantu, and congratulations to Dariana for that beautiful Christmas card. Next, we have recognition of Outstanding Service Award for Teachers for the month of December 2021. We do have some teachers that have chosen to come receive this award in person. So Mr. Salinas and Dr. Benavides, if you could please stand in the center where we've marked the floor with X's so that you can congratulate those teachers that have chosen to be here. Mr. Martin Munoz, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, will do these awards.
Thank you, Dr. Science. So, Mr. President, Coach Salinas, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Science, members of the board and community, LJISD prides itself in providing educational excellence to each of our students. We're able to do so because of the exceptional teachers we have serving our students in the classroom each day. This evening, we would like to recognize 3 of our outstanding high school teachers in our district, or rather 4 of them. Each high school principal nominated 1 teacher from their campus, and all nominees are teachers who have demonstrated exceptional instructional talent, are actively involved in the community, possess the respect of all members of the school, and have an engaging and inspiring presence in the classroom. Now, a committee comprised of individuals from various departments made the final selection. Now, to all our teachers, we say thank you. This evening, we would like to recognize these outstanding service award recipients from our high schools. So we would like to begin with La Jolla High School, Principal Mr. Antonio Cano, and our outstanding high school teacher from La Jolla High School is Ms. Sonia Fuentes. Ms. Sonia Fuentes is a science teacher at La Jolla High School, and this is what Mr. Cano said in regards to Ms. Fuentes and her nomination. He said that Ms. Fuentes goes above and beyond the call of teaching. She is constantly ensuring her students receive the best lessons that will enable them to be successful on their biology end-of-course exam. She maintains constant parental involvement and makes necessary phone calls to ensure her students are not absent and have completed their assignments. She actively assists our school in and out of the classroom. Ms. Fuentes helps La Jolla High School shine bright. So, ladies and gentlemen of the board community, we ask you that you congratulate and join us in recognizing Ms. Sonia Fuentes. Joining Ms. Fuentes is Mr. Antonio Cano, Principal at La Jolla High School. Congratulations, Ms. Fuentes. From Palmview High School, where Mr. Leonel Perez is principal, Mr. Perez is recognizing Ms. Lindsay Barajas, social studies teacher. And this is what Mr. Perez said about Ms. Barajas. Ms. Lindsay Barajas elevates the true meaning of being an educator through her dedication to her students. Her instructional techniques are very unique in that she ensures to include culturally relevant pedagogy throughout her lessons. She truly understands the importance of teaching the whole child to include academic, emotional, and cultural components. Ms. Barajas shares her instructional methods with her colleagues because she is a firm believer in working together for the betterment of the whole school and community. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I ask that you please help us recognize Ms. Lindsay Barajas, teacher at Palmview High School. Joining Ms. Barajas, we do have Ms. Melinda Flores, Executive Director for Secondary Education.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Barajas. We do have 2 additional teachers that are joining us virtually,
Okay.
and we wanted to recognize them as well.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas and Dr. Benavides.
So from Juarez Lincoln High School, where we have Mr. Ricardo Estrada as the principal, he would like to recognize Ms. Jamie Unruh, English teacher at Juarez Lincoln High School. And this is what Mr. Estrada said in nominating Ms. Unruh. Ms. Unruh is an English teacher in the Juarez Lincoln High School T-STEM Academy. Ms. Unruh has an excellent rapport with all of her students and supports them by attending various student activities. Additionally, she recently had an article published in the New York Times for the bell ringer activity she created named Buzzy Puzzles, 5 spelling bee games to use in the classroom. Juarez Lincoln High School is proud to have Ms. Unruh as a shining example of an exemplary teacher. So we congratulate Ms. Unruh for her nomination. At our West Academy, where Ms. Antonia Sanchez is the principal, Ms. Antonia Sanchez did nominate Mr. Servando Abad, math teacher. And this is what Ms. Sanchez said in nominating Mr. Abad. Mr. Abad not only is an excellent teacher, but he is also a wonderful and caring individual. He goes above and beyond to help students when they need him the most. The students gravitate towards him because of his positive and caring attitude. Students at West Academy are overcoming instructional gaps, and Mr. Abad knows that kind words, consistency, working one-on-one, and patience will help all his students succeed. Mr. Abad exemplifies an awesome teacher. So again, we congratulate Mr. Abad for his nomination. So again, we congratulate these teachers along with their colleagues across our district for all that they do for our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Mr. Salinas, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Moving on to discussion items. Number 1, discussion and update on the 177 four-year seniors from the cohort 2021 participating in the La Jolla Senior Virtual Academy.
Hi, good evening, board members. Dr. Science. I'm here to present to you this evening the Virtual Academy for the 177 identified cohort seniors. And the purpose of the Senior Virtual Academy is to accommodate the 177 identified cohort seniors during this transition of COVID to be able to finish their credits and EOCs. And the goal is to continue to graduate cohort seniors to meet the 90% graduation rate. The CCC staffing are supporting our 177 cohort seniors. We provide a flex schedule depending on the needs of the students, as some of them do work and have families as well. And we also provide a FAFSA for students currently. As you notice here, the progression of enrollment as of October 4th, we started at 17 students. Currently, as of today, we are at 110 cohort seniors. To add a voice to this number, this 110, student Mark withdrew from high school, and he says, thankfully, the same day, Mr. Cabrera gave me a call explaining that I would have an opportunity to finish high school virtually at my own pace while staying in the district and without having to pay anything. I am finished with high school. I am able to focus on my career as a pilot and move on to bigger and better things. Thank you for putting me on the right path for success. So thank you all for this opportunity for our students. Additional support was provided to CCC for these students by providing hotspots and devices so that they can do the Edgenuity curriculum at their own pace. Also, the counseling department, along with the counselor at CCC, provided social and emotional mental health lessons. Fiscal was continued to be supported with the readiness clerk at Jimmy Carter High School. And also, Palmview truancy officer and Desabella social worker continued to assist CCC after hours calling and enrolling students. So it truly has been a district coming together for our students. And again, on behalf of our students, parents, and community, I want to thank you for second chances. Questions or comments? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2 under discussion items, discussion of the Hoya ISD District of Innovation Plan Renewal.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Sines, Administration, and La Jolla ISD community. Today we'll be sharing the La Jolla ISD District of Innovation Renewal Plan. In 2017, our La Jolla ISD board members approved our district to become a District of Innovation as a 5-year plan. This plan is set to expire in May 2022. Our district leadership team is requesting your permission to notify the Commissioner of Education of our district's intent to vote and renew the District of Innovation Plan. The Innovation Plan includes exemptions from subsection 25.0811, the first day of instruction. The proposed plan seeks to leverage the first day of instruction option to allow students to benefit from the following. La Jolla ISD academic calendar will be more aligned to the academic calendar for local colleges and universities, benefiting students in dual enrollment classes. Students taking STAR end of course test in December will have additional days of instruction prior to their tests. Elementary, middle, and high school students will have more instructional days prior to the administration of the STAR test in the spring. Starting the school year earlier will allow La Jolla ISD to end the school year earlier, giving students who attend summer school additional instructional days prior to summer STAR testing. Students graduating from high school will have an opportunity to enroll in summer college sessions with finalized official high school transcripts, and students requiring House Bill 4545 supplemental accelerated instruction will have additional time available to complete their required hours. Because we are a District of Innovation, we have been able to hold our first day of class on the third Monday in August as displayed in the current year's calendar. If we elect not to renew our District of Innovation Plan for the 22-23 school year, our first day of school would be on August 22nd, 2022. And in the 23-2024 school year, our first day of school will be on August 28th, 2023. Because of the benefits shown in the previous slide, we request to renew our District of Innovation Plan for the next 5 years. Do we have any questions or feedback?
Board of Trustees, there will be a voting item on this, and it will be whether to let the Commissioner know that we will submit the application again. That's what you would be voting on in the item and in the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Duque.
Thank you, Dr. Sines.
Thank you. Next under discussion items be item number 3, discussion of the second 6 weeks performance data.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Sines, Administration, La Jolla ISD community. Today we will be sharing with you highlights of the 2021-2022 second 6 weeks performance data. In the first slide, you will note that all students have been aggregated by grade level and subject for reading. Our top performing grade level is our 5th grade students who performed at a 62% approaches, 37% meets, and 22% masters. In the second table, math performance, our top performing grade levels is our 8th grade algebra track students and 8th grade students who performed at 77% approaches, 60% meets, and 25% masters. Top science performer for La Jolla ISD is our biology end of course students who performed at a 68% approaches, 43% meets, 16% masters. Top social studies performance for La Jolla ISD is our 8th grade social studies students who performed at a 76% approaches, 47% meets, 23% masters. The following report combines all grade levels for reading and is ranked by campus performance. As a district, for reading, we performed at 52% approaches, 26% meets, and 14% masters. You will note the campus who performed above and below the district performance. In mathematics, as a district, we performed at 54% approaches, 24% meets, and 10% masters. In elementary science, as a district, we performed at 56% approaches, 29% meets, and 1% masters. In middle school reading, as a district, we performed at 51% approaches, 21% meets, and 8% masters. Again, you will note the campuses who performed above and below the district performance. In middle school mathematics, as a district, we performed at 68% approaches, 43% meets, and 19% masters. In middle school science, as a district, we performed at 36% approaches, 14% meets, 5% masters. In middle school social studies, we performed at 76% approaches, 47% meets, and 23% masters. In English 1 end of course, as a district, we performed at 26% approaches, 15% meets, and 0% masters. Again, you will note the campuses who performed above and below district performance. In English 2 end of course, as a district, we performed at 50% approaches, 34% meets, and 7% masters. In Algebra 1 end of course, as a district, we performed at 57% approaches, 23% meets, and 7% masters. In biology end of course, as a district, we performed at 68% approaches, 43% meets, and 16% masters. In U.S. history, as a district, we performed at 67% approaches, 32% meets, and 11% masters. Again, you will note the campuses who performed above and below the district level performance.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Science members of our community. Part of the progress checks that we have is checking on our priority group of students, which is our Algebra 1 group at our comprehensive high schools. We're closely working with our partner, Engage to Learn, on these efforts for our first year Algebra 1 students. Our aim, and just to recap what was board approved with the RSSP program back in July, is to make sure that our students are accelerating their learning in very supportive learning environments and that we get the reflection of improved assessment outcomes. So the progress outcomes that we have, this data here within the second 6 weeks is for our fall retester benchmark data. These are the students that are currently taking their state assessments this week. As a district, back in October, when we progress monitored our students, we were at 42% approaches, 8% meets, and 2% masters. With the all student groups of our first time testers for Algebra 1, the slides and the graphs depicted will show that the blue indicates how our students performed during last year's STAR 8th grade assessments. And the orange graph is now showing the progress of how students fared with their second 6 weeks at the approaches level. So you could see there again the 3 comprehensive high schools, La Jolla High School at 54%, Juarez Lincoln at 64%, Palmview High School at 48%. We wanted more than just quantitative data, so our qualitative data led us to asking students survey questions, and this is the response we received for our students. 931 of our first-time Algebra 1 students, when asked, how easy has it been for you to get individualized learning support in algebra, you could see that 29.5% of this group answered that it's very easy. 60.2% said that it's somewhat easy, with 10.3% of our students that it's not easy. So our teachers and administrators continue to monitor the progress and instruction. We did make some tweaks for cycle 2 to make sure that we are adapting to the needs expressed by our students. The other question that was asked was, what type of Algebra 1 support have you received during this year? 67.7% of our students are letting us know that they're receiving these interventions during their classes. 27.4% of the students are letting us know that they are in our EOC Math Strategic Learning course, and 12.8% of our students are letting us know that they're attending our before-after school tutoring. We're currently working on a campaign to get a video to encourage more students to attend our tutorial sessions to ensure that we're closing those academic gaps that we have with our learning loss. This is the feedback we received from our principals, lessons learned from our first cycle, and that is to make sure that student engagement is at the forefront and to continue to strengthen that for our second cycle. Attendance for both students and staff is critical, and we've launched a lot of efforts here to make sure that we improve the attendance on both ends, to find ways to support our principals with staff attendance, support our teachers. Teacher selection in classroom is key in reviewing our staffing. Celebrate and appreciate where we're at this point in spite of our attendance concerns, and making adjustments to schedules as needed to impact student instruction. Lastly, our professional development schedule throughout the year to review data and to reflect on what's working and what's not working. So these are the items based on cycle 1 for our RSSP Priority Algebra 1 group. Are there any questions or any feedback?
Any questions?
Thank you.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item, be under discussion items. Also, number 4, discussion of the LJISD Professional Development Guidelines.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, Coach Salinas, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Science, ladies and gentlemen of the board and community. In consideration of our teachers and staff emotional health and well-being, our district has made some adjustments to our professional development calendar and guidelines. And administration would like to present those changes and adjustments this evening. So for the 21-22 school year adjustments, content coordinators are no longer scheduling after-school trainings. Instead of after-school trainings, content coordinators are now holding office hour sessions. These sessions being, where the content coordinators are available during the school day so that teachers can connect during their planning periods if they have questions or need additional supports. And also, we are addressing social-emotional health by partnering with Region 1 to offer a monthly social-emotional training on Saturdays. And of course, attendance is optional and voluntary. And we are continuing to offer most of our catalog virtually, so teachers can attend virtually. Some are in person, but these are few and far in between. On slides 4 and 5, you will see the guidelines that our professional development department is following when scheduling trainings. And again, the emphasis on showing consideration to our teachers. When are they available? When can they attend? And to achieve that as a protocol and as a process every year, our professional development department does ask for stakeholder input. And you can see the process there on slide 6, right? So professional development department annually surveys all stakeholders in February. Stakeholders are surveyed as to what trainings need to be offered, when should these trainings be offered, and on what days they would like for the trainings to be scheduled. And data from those surveys is shared with the directors and the coordinators and are used to plan our professional development catalog. Now, we recently did seek a DEIC input in regards to what it was that the teachers in our community would like for us to offer and how they would like those trainings offered moving forward into the spring. So the district administration met with the DEIC to review and discuss our professional development catalog. These are some of the comments from the DEIC representatives. For example, one representative did write that they appreciated the plethora of staff development that our district provides, that it truly helps in ensuring that they are well trained and prepared for the best interests of the students' academics. While this teacher knows that it is on a voluntary basis, this teacher did state that they are always looking forward to the new trends, ideas, etc. So they make it a point to attend as many trainings as possible. This teacher loves that these trainings are being offered on Saturdays instead of after school. Another representative did ask that the Saturday trainings be made voluntary, not mandatory. Another teacher wrote that she thinks that it is that our professional development catalog or protocols are representative of the opinions and preferences of the majority of the colleagues, right? So she appreciates that they have input in creating the catalog and guidelines. Another representative wrote that they would love to see more training options for the fine arts program, and that the EdTech offering is great, however, that it be offered in shorter sessions where they can choose what they are interested in, but would like more in-depth training on a particular app, device, and program. Another representative did state that they like the share sessions that our ELA and math departments offer. And another representative wrote that at that time, they didn't have any recommendations for adjustments. However, that they would really like the fact that these trainings are virtual and some are recorded. This allows the accessibility at a later time for those that were not able to attend. And that they understand that that won't give them credit, but it does keep them updated. So again, the DIC representatives were very appreciative of the fact that we're giving an opportunity to voice their recommendations and any concerns that they have. So on slides 9, 10, 11, and 12, you will see the course catalog of trainings that we are offering during the spring. Some are recommended trainings from district personnel. Some are required by the state, and some are required by the district. Now, when we mention requirement, it means that we are required to offer them, right? It's not that the teachers that it's mandatory for them to attend. Any questions or concerns or feedback that you might give us as we move forward with professional development?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Dr. Sines and yourself and everybody else that when I brought it to the table so y'all could look at it, knowing and listening to our staff that are totally burned out with the pandemic, that you all follow through for our staff members. Second, in the clarification, I really hope that our administration really looks into that, and even though it says recommended, it's really not required. We all know that La Jolla ISD prides itself. I pride myself when I was an employee here of the educator that I am, or was at one time, because we equip the whole person, the best professional development that we offer. But I also know that there's times that we need to refresh ourselves, and I know our teachers prepare themselves and want their very best for their students. And I'm going to give you another challenge in that you speak to the administration too, and I know the administrators also work very hard, and I know they also have to meet their requirements and protocols, but that they don't have so many staff meetings during the week, and if so, for them to be kept short so they can go home and refresh themselves and spend some quality time with family, because we just don't know if we're here tomorrow, you know? So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Cantu.
Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
I would like to add that, Dr. Sines, in planning the calendar for next year, that if you all can look at a way where teachers don't have to make up the 2 TIP days that they have to do, that they just be days that are off, the teachers are off, and they don't have to worry about attending sessions to be able to be off those 2 days. It may be difficult for hourly staff, but I think we have enough time to look at it to see where everyone can have those 2 days. Anyway, I know that in the past we've put in more hours and more time than is required by the state. That's number one. Number two, I do want to thank SP for bringing this up to your attention, because I think it's definitely needed, especially now that it gets dark at 6 o'clock and our teachers are tired and they're having to stay, and I hear that some people are leaving school at 8 o'clock in the evening, and that is, I mean, they have young children, and we need to be more compassionate, and the mental health situation is getting worse. Like Mr. Gonzalez said earlier, the pandemic is not going away, and we need to be cognizant of that so that our teachers can come to school rested and can be ready to take care of our children. The third thing I'd like to say is that I understand that some special ed assistants are still being called out to cover classes. I know there's a shortage in substitutes, but I don't think that this is an area where we need to be looking at, because our special ed children require the adults that are assigned to those classrooms. And so maybe it's not happening a lot, but this is what was told to me. So I would just say look into it so that you can see and try to limit any special ed assistant being pulled out to cover a class because there's no teacher available.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Get it? Any more questions, guys? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides, and thank you, Ms. Ochoa, and we will definitely follow up on those items.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I obtain a motion?
So moved to approve.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Then we move on to letter B, bids. That will be number 12, approval of the delinquent tax attorney services, RFQ number 2022-31.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to keep Mr. Bedroom, Brandon, and Field as our tax attorneys.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
And a second, all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 13, can I obtain legal, please? On 13 and 14.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Are you reading this or am I reading this out?
Those items, no, Mr. President, as long as you read out the board item and the title, you should be good. If the board, if the trustees-
Just the area on the words? Up to where it says the text code on 630 or what?
I don't have that in front of me. Is that the opening paragraph to the resolution?
Yeah, just the opening.
Yes,
Oh, just the word.
that'll be sufficient, Mr. President.
Okay, so under number 13, approval of the resolution number 2021-15, as whereas La Jolla Independent School District wishes to defray its cost collection and authorized by text code 3307 and 3308 that it incurs under a contract of collection of delinquent property taxes between said district and a private law firm entered into pursuant of Texas Tax Code 630. That's for number 13. Can I obtain a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
No second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And then number 14, under letter B, bids. Whereas La Jolla Independent School District wishes to defray its cost of collection as authorized by Tax Code 33.11, that it incurs under a contract of collection of delinquent property taxes between said district and a private law firm entered into pursuant to Tax Code 630. I take a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Can I take a second? I'll second, Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Moving under letter C. Business and Finance, number 3, approval of the 2021 tax roll totals.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Under letter C, Business and Finance, number 4, approval of the application and certificate for paying of contractor's fee number 4 for La Jolla Rosendo Benavides Elementary roof renovation projects. Can I obtain a motion?
I move for us to approve items 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, have a motion for items 4
and
through
number 8.
And number 8. Items through number 4 through number 8. I have a motion. Can I obtain a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Under letter C, Business and Finance, number 9, approval of proposal for the demolition on the baseball and softball complex bleachers submitted by Solis Contractors Incorporated through job order contract CSP 2018-37. Can I obtain a motion? Can I obtain a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Ochoa. Can I obtain a
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, under letter D, Instruction and Student Services, number 10, approval to notify Commissioner of Education to the LJISD intent to renew its district plan, which is the one that you said, right?
Yes.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Under D, Instruction and Student Services, number 11, approval of revised House Bill number 3, annual goals.
Dr. Science, I didn't have a chance to review those, but are they the same like the ones we reviewed?
Yes, these are the changed goals that we discussed in our committee meetings.
So moved.
Thank you,
I have a
Dr.
motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Suppose. Motion passes. Under letter D, Instruction and Student Services, number 12, approval of the HB3 progress monitoring calendar and goals.
So move.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. On the letter D, Instruction and Student Services, number 13, approval of the 2021-22 district and campus improvement plans.
So moved. Second.
And a second, I have a motion, a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. On the letter E, Human Resources, approval of the FTE conversion to new positions, CACFP, Child and Adult Care, Food Program Specialist, Safety Compliance Specialist Network, and Communication Technicians.
Mr. President, on this one, I would like to know the rationale of it. I mean, why are we bringing these positions up right now?
You want an overview, Mrs. Hernandez?
I'm sorry?
The rationale?
Yeah, the rationale.
On page 374, excuse me, page 374, Ms. Hernandez, you see the duties that the department is needing from these positions. We have increased our meal production and service through the supper program, which is a new program. Based on that, the CNS department is requesting these 3 new positions. And you see there, for example, the compliance specialist will work with all areas of compliance as noted on there. The network technician will do problem solving and resolving any of our CNS computers, printers, and technology equipment, responsible for updating and monitoring child nutrition website, and all of those other duties there that you see regarding network operations within the CNS department. So the CNS department is using existing FTEs, and like I said, with the increased meals brought about through the supper program, they have determined that these 3 positions are needed.
Dr. Science, with the increase, you just said there was an increased workload. And I think we have to go back, and I ask our CNS department, I know I see Mr. Chapa here, that we go back. I'm always in support of, when they say they need help, I trust their judgment, and I would support that. But I asked, a few weeks ago, we had our CNS cafeteria ladies come and speak in public comments, and I would like for them to see that we are helping them too, and that Mr. Hernandez, I see you too, I'm sorry. I would like more support for our cafeteria ladies. You just said the workload has increased. I visited these cafeterias, and I don't know how they get it done, and some cafeterias are understaffed, and I just ask that you go back in your department and that you look at that, and that if the department needs these positions, and by all means, of course, if we can help them, we can do that. But I ask that we go back and that we look at the ones in the front lines, who came and pretty much told us how much help they need. So I just, ask our department to look at that as well, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cantu.
I also have the same concern. I know that I've spoken to several of the CNS departments, and I know that was I know that there's been a lot of improvement in the department, and we see it, and you all are doing amazing. But I would like to at least, in contingent to this, make sure that we at least open up at least 10 positions, because I know that when people are missing, it's very hard to replace, like we're doing right now with substitutes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it carries more of the load, and with the after-school program, that means longer hours for people and stuff like that. So if we can help them out, and I would greatly appreciate that from our group as well.
We will continue to evaluate the staffing at each of the schools. Thank you, Mr. Cantu.
Are you talking like maybe additional substitutes? Yes?
At least 10. If we're seeing the increment in meals and stuff like that, then somebody's got to do it. Yeah. So if they're having issues right now, well, let's, I don't have a problem with this either. But in contingent with this, make sure we open up 10 more positions for substitutes, so that if there's people missing, we're able to give them the support that they need.
The other thing that I would like to remind you, Dr. Science, is that we requested a recommendation for the assistant director, and that when recommendations be brought for these positions, that we get the recommendation for the assistant director also.
Yes, thank you.
Ms.
And I do support Mr. Cantu with that suggestion.
With that said, I'll do the motion to approve in contingent that we also bring back on the next one 10 additional substitute ladies or men.
A second.
Do you have any more?
That's good.
That's
Thank
it?
you.
Okay, so I had a motion and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Before I go on to the next item, the reorganization, I would like to thank Dr. Science, the entire board, all of our central administration and staff, and all our staff everywhere for helping us throughout pandemic that continues. Before me, it was SP. She led the presidency as the pandemic hit. To our crisis team, to everyone that has worked, thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you for facilitating and helping us, because a lot of people out there don't see the people behind the scenes. And of course, here as a board, continuing trying to help our cafeteria and all our departments. So in behalf of myself and my family, and on behalf of, again, myself, muchas gracias, and thank you for all that. Moving on to the next item, B, number letter F, reorganization of the LJISD Board of Trustees. Discussion and possible action on reorganization of the LJISD Board of Trustees.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion as well to nominate Alex Cantu as president.
Okay, so we're gonna take it through the vote, guys. Okay, so at this time I have a motion by Ms. Dr. Cantu to go ahead and name Mr. Alex Cantu. Can I entertain a second?
If I may just say, I know there should be an underlying respect among all of us, politics aside. I think he's the only member here sitting today on his second term, and the rest of us are on our first term who have not served as president. I think he should be given the opportunity, and the rest of us respectfully wait our turn.
Okay, so I have a motion. Can I attain a second? With no seconds attained, then the motion dies. It's open again.
I'd like to make a motion. My motion would be in three parts. It would be for Esperanza Jolla to be appointed secretary, Mary Hernandez to be appointed vice president, and Dr. Alda Benavides to be appointed president.
Okay, can I attain a second on that motion?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Let me read it back. So you're nominating SP Ochoa for secretary, and Mrs. Mary Hernandez for vice president, and Dr. Alda Benavides for president.
Yes, sir.
Okay, motion passes at this time. Hand it over to you, Dr. Benavides as president.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. I'll do my best. We will go into executive session at 6:59 under Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. Thank you. We're out of executive session at 7:38.
Madam President, at this time, I'd like to congratulate you, Madam Vice President, Mrs. Hernandez, and Madam Secretary SP Ochoa. I'd like to make a motion under personnel items 1 through 5 as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned at 7:38.